Hello, and welcome to Truman Tech Break. For this break, we're going to focus on Google Forms. Forms are easy to make in a few different formats, used for quizzes, surveys, exit tickets, or whatever purpose that you have in mind for your class or your department. We'll start by going to googleapps.truman.edu, and from here you can choose the Drive triangle icon. Once this tab opens, you go to the waffle icon over by your Truman login, and you can click on Forms. Forms will be this purple rectangle that sometimes you'll find down here, but I've just simply moved it up for convenience sake so that I have better access to it. And now a new tab will open, your drive will remain open, and you can see that you have a blank format where you can start from scratch, an assessment, exit ticket, a blank quiz, or even a worksheet. You can see that I've already done a survey, and you can see that the word questions here is highlighted in purple, indicating the question view. And when you see the responses in 6, this means that I've received 6 responses out of the 7 I know I sent. So when you click on responses, you're now given a graph of the data that you've accumulated. And you can see that this data is a summary of all 6 responses. But if I wanted to, I can look at the individual responses. I can click on this arrow key here and see if there's any correlation between someone believing in Santa Claus and liking black licorice, or any other statistical analysis. By clicking on these 3 dots, you can see the options as to what to do with this data, either in the summary view or in the individual view. You can turn off accepting responses. And you can, once you have a deadline or accumulated a significant pool of responses, you may want to end the survey. Now that you know what kind of data that you can gather, let's make a form. So we will go back to the beginning here, and we're going to choose a blank form. And this will allow us to see all the features that are available to make this form. When you click, it opens with minimum formatting. So title your survey, and I'm going to call it Background Survey. And now we're also going to have to save the file. When I click here, it automatically chooses this as the title. That makes it convenient. And down here is a brief description that allows me to explain to those taking the survey what it is that I want to do. So background survey to Since it is a survey, I can generally do this more yes or no. I will type in my first question. And you'll notice that yes, no, and maybe all pop up. So I can click on yes. First option automatically becomes yes, and then no. Is this a required answer? Yes, I'm going to make it required. And then here I could change the font, I can add a picture, I can add a video, and I can add a new section if I wanted to. Okay, so now that I have this first question, I'm going to add a new one. I will click over here next to multiple choice, which gives me the options for checkboxes, so I could just list all the texts that I want to know if any student has read, and they can check more than one. Short answer paragraph, date, and time. I'm going to click on the plus, and that's going to give me the next question. I will type in what level. We'll change this to sophomore because I only want to have 4. And notice how it's assuming what I want. Okay. Also within this box, I can click on these three, and I can go to section based on answer. So if someone said that they believe that The Great Gatsby should not be read until college, if that's what they chose, then I can go on to a different section and have questions geared toward that particular response. Also within this box, I can copy this question. I can trash it. Again, I'm going to make it required. And now that I have it in this particular order, I realize I don't think I want this to be my second question. I think I want this to be my first question. So I'll click here and simply switch it with the other question. And now I have, what level should I read The Great Gatsby first? And then ask them yes or no if they've read it. This way, if they have not read it, if they've said no, then we can go on to a different section based on that answer. Add another question. I'm going to ask them to rate The Great Gatsby. And you can change these options, 1 to 5. And I could have done any other option if I wanted to. So we'll label this as awful so that the person knows. And make this required. For the last question, I want the students to be able to answer a short answered question. So I will ask them to name one prevalent theme Notice that it automatically chooses the short answer. However, I could have chosen it if it had not interpreted what I wanted to do. And now it has given me lines for the short answer. I will also make this one required. Now these are the questions, and when you click on responses, I have no responses. There will be no data available for me to look at. If you click also on the off-center green, you can now put this in a new spreadsheet as a background survey so that the responses will show up in a similar to an Excel spreadsheet or into an existing one. Go back to questions. So if you were to go to my other survey that I have, click on the green, you'll see that my survey has been formatted into this Google Sheets, which can be downloaded as a Microsoft Excel or as a PDF so that I can share this information with others should they want to have this data. Okay, go back to the background. So you can see that you can create a multiple choice, yes, no, or true and false. You can have a scale. You can even have a short answer. These different options are wonderful for when you have conferences, meetings, professional development, and you want feedback on how well or what the participants learned within that conference or PD meeting. In this view of the survey under questions, you'll see that there's a paint palette up here, and you can customize the theme. You can change it. I have it for purple for Truman, but if I wanted to change it to red, I certainly can. I can add a header. I have basic font that I can also change. Turn that back to purple. The eye allows you to see what the actual form, what the form would look like for the student or, say, the conference participant. And you can see the editing icon here in the right that allows you to fix it from here. The toggle wheel allows you to collect email addresses so that you can see who has responded, but not necessarily what their responses are. Can restrict Truman State University users only. You can limit it one response, and then admit or edit after submission and see summary charts and text responses. You also have the presentations and quizzes under that toggle wheel as well. This is where you would send it out to your actual email. You could also send it an email out including the link, and you can share it as a in the Google Plus, Facebook, or Twitter. So if you've ever been on Facebook and you see that they have those surveys online, this is how they do it. Google Forms is a great way to ascertain information in an anonymous atmosphere for academic or personal research. As a teacher, I've used these types as a pretest to see what my students already know. My administrators and committee chairs have used these forms for professional development surveys and evaluations within the department. And it helps organize things in the department through surveys, meeting times, topics, etc. Hopefully that you can find a use for these forms and the collected data therein. And thank you for watching today's Tech Break.